Karens be Karening. Dealing with a Karen is a challenge. Karens are funny. I don't know, it's just the entitlement, it's the victim mentality, the bad haircut, just all put into one concoction of a creature that makes a Karen. It's just it's just funny to me. I don't know why they act like that, but at this point it makes good story time content, so thank you. On top of that, it's good character building. When you deal with a Karen, it builds character because you just learn how to deal with people, and it's just funny. So today's story is about the very first Karen that I had to deal with, my very first interaction with a Karen. I got a story time about dealing with a Karen before, but this story here, from what I can remember, is my very first time just dealing with a Karen, period, and just how I processed it. Let's get into it. So back in the day when I was going to school, I had a bunch of different front desk jobs that I can remember, and I often used to work like in a hospital or healthcare setting. One of the jobs that I had during that time, I was a front desk receptionist at a doctor's office. This was really just one of those keep my bills paid type of jobs, like just something to keep my bills paid while I was in school. So I didn't stay there for too long, honestly, like no more than 2 months. And around the time that this situation happened, I had been there for like a little past a month, maybe a month, right? So still fairly new booty, fresh meat, right? So at this job, I worked the checkout desk. So the way the office was set up, there's a check-in counter and there's a receptionist there that pretty much checks in and welcomes the patients and gets them situated and, you know, seats them in the waiting room. And the person at the check-in desk, he was an older black guy, not necessarily old, but older than me, like an old head, like I should say old head. He was unk. Definitely unk vibes. Like he had to be somewhere around his 50s, something like that. We'll name him Tyrone. And so Tyrone is working the check-in desk, and on the other side of me is the prior authorization desk. So the receptionist there, they work on like the insurance and reaching out to the different insurance providers and handling the paperwork on that end, right? The woman who works at the insurance desk, she's an older Asian lady, and she really is like older, like somewhere late 60s, early 70s. Like, don't nobody try her, don't nobody play with her. We'll name her Mrs. Kwan. So we got Tyrone working the check-in desk, Mrs. Kwan working insurance, little old Kelsey is working the checkout desk. From the back of the office, I'm in the middle, but there's a window for me to check out the patients. So obviously my job, simple as that. I check out the patients. I make sure that they book their follow-up appointments. I give them any paperwork that they need at the end of their appointment, any discharge instructions, because this office is also part of a bigger hospital. So all that good stuff, everything that these patients need for when they check out or discharge. And in between those things, sometimes like there's different paperwork that I have to put into these patients' charts and just make sure that they have all of the information that they need up to date within their chart. There's sometimes where more doctors come than others, and sometimes where there's only one doctor there and maybe 1 or 2 patients throughout the week, right? And then in the back of this doctor's office, that's where the nurses are, the different techs, the CNAs, all that good stuff. They're behind the scenes in the back. So the biggest fax machine and copy machine is towards the front of the office where the reception desks are. And everybody uses this copy and fax machine no matter what part of the office that they work in. Nurses, doctors, anybody, everybody get up and use the fax machine or copy machine for whatever they need it for. So I remember on one lovely day, as I was minding my natural African American business, not bothering a soul, like I always do, not bothering nobody, doing my job. At that point of the day, all of the patient appointments are done and all of the doctors have left because they've seen all the patients that they needed to see for the day. Tyrone is checked in, all the patients. I've checked out the last patient. Everybody's gone. It's just the employees. So I remember this nurse, and we'll name her Karen. Karen gets my attention, and I can't even remember how she addressed me because this story happened like 4 or 5 years ago. But she has this stack of papers in her hand, a stack full of papers that I've never seen before, full of patient health information, just different forms, different exams. This is a cardiology office, so there's different imaging, different test results, different types of patient information, just a bunch of random patient health information papers that I've never had to deal with in all of my time of checking out patients. So Karen comes up to me and she's like, would you mind scanning and faxing these in for me? Me just being nice, I told Karen, who never comes up to speak to me or say anything to me, this is our first true interaction with each other, I was being nice and I told her, I was like, I don't mind scanning them for you. I'll scan them for you, but I don't want to fax them. Instead of saying thank you or anything like that, Karen kind of like stands, she's like standing behind me, like paused, you know, looking how she was looking, built how she was built, haircut how her haircut was. And she's like, mind you, this is also during the time where we have like the mask on. This is during the pandemic, so you know, you can't really see people's facial expressions during this whole interaction, right? So, but I could see, like, you know, with her mask covered, she's standing like this. And she's like, why? So when I tell her, sure, I'll scan them, but I'm not going to fax these, she stands like this and she's like, why? What I really should have said was no. Like, like I should have just said, no, this is not my job. This is your job. These are your papers. And on top of that, this is patient health information. I don't want to play with being responsible for sending this out to somebody, or it gets out to the wrong person, or it doesn't get to who it needs to get to, and it creates more problems. And then you just get to blame it on the little black girl that's working at the desk. No, I might not have the word for word conversation, but I do remember in the middle of me explaining to her that I'm not faxing anything in this stack of papers that you just tried to sit next to my desk. I remember her repeatedly asking why not. And I'm just like, that's not what I'm doing. Like, I'm not doing that. And I'm still trying to be nice to her. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not familiar with being responsible for faxing this out to anybody. Like, I don't mind scanning them in because I know that that will go directly to their chart. I could look at the patient's name and date of birth and see that this is going to the right patient chart in the system. So I don't mind doing that. But you know, with faxing, that's very risky or whatever. But at the same time, I don't explain all of this because one, you're not my mama, two, this is not my job, and is this slavery? What's going on? What's going on? Why do you think you just gonna come up to me and give me a job and give me some work like this is slavery? My ancestors didn't fight for this. So as much as I was still trying to be proper, in my head, like, I felt like a mini crash out, like coming, like trying to come up, like, get away from me. She kept trying to pry every time I said no. It was almost like funny, like she was like shocked that I could say no. I'm like, no, girl, no. So she asked me a second time and she was like, well, why not? And I was just like, and that time I explained a little more, like, this is a little risky. I don't want no parts of faxing whoever this needs to get faxed to. I'm not too familiar with that. You know, I don't fax anything. I check out patients and do my job. It's safer if I scan this because I know where it's going. But even still, I didn't have to, I could have said no to that. So yeah, she's still standing there trying to figure out why won't I do her job. Why won't this little black girl jump when I say jump? I don't know what was going through her head, but that's the look that she gave, like, my slave is broken or something. Like, I don't know what she thought this was. I don't know. I don't know. Karen's still standing there, right? Because apparently I got the bitch to play with across my forehead or something. I don't know. So the third time she asked why or why not, I can't remember which one she said. I was just like, because I'm not doing it. No. You know, and this wasn't like a escalating conversation. It didn't need to be a fight or an argument or anything. I'm just like, she probably couldn't see my facial expression, but I was just like, no. Once I say no a third time, Karen responds and she's like, well, you could just do it. Is it crack or is it entitlement? So I respond, you can too. And she was like, what? Like asking me to repeat myself. So I lowered my little COVID mask, the little surgical mask. I was like, you can too. You can too. The fax machine is right there. And so at this point, Tyrone and Mrs. Kwan are trying not to laugh. Both of them are on the side of me, like, you know, low-key peeping the situation, but they're not fully turned their backs to like watch the interaction. So once I said that and like lowered my mask so that, you know, we have a clear understanding, Karen kind of like paused or whatever. And I'm just like, I don't know if she was like frozen or maybe something was broken or something like that. But, you know, I definitely wanted to help her unthaw and process what was going on. So I grabbed the stack of papers that she sat next to me and I picked them up, you know what I'm saying? And I just handed them back to her, you know, like I just put them on her chest. You know, I want to make sure that you find your stack of papers and find you somebody to play with. Leave me alone. Stop standing over me. I said no. You're trying me. I don't know why you're trying me, but you need to stop. And good luck with your stack of papers. You're welcome. So thankfully, once the stack of papers hits Miss Karen's chest, she does take them. Because I was going to drop them. They were going to fall anyway. I was going to let them go. Because leave me alone. This is a temporary job. I really don't care. Thankfully, she did grab them. And rightfully so, because these are your papers. This is not my papers. She like kind of stands and she's just like, I just thought we were all working together. You know, you guys are just always on your phones. Like at this point, Karen is kind of talking to herself because my back is already turned. And the next time I turn around, I'm gonna crash out. I thought it was crazy that she even brought up that we be on our phones because they be doing the exact same thing when there's no patients here. At this point, it's like you itching for some type of, you didn't get what you wanted. I'm not your slave. You don't run nothing up here. Stop trying to bully new people. This is your work. This is your pay grade. This is your responsibility. Whatever this paperwork is and whatever is in those papers, that's what you're responsible for getting out. And even if this was something in my job description, which it absolutely was not, but even if it was, it's interesting that you walked over to the newest face and the youngest face to ask for this because something in your mind told you not to go to Tyrone or Mrs. Kwan, so you picked the easiest target because clearly you know this is not something that I'm responsible for. This is your work and you're trying to get somebody else to do your work and take advantage of somebody. Karen, please. So once she kind of paused and does like that little like shaky voice, like, I just thought we were all working together. I just kind of like just let her talk to herself because my back is already turned and I got a midterm coming up. Nobody's about to play with you. Bye, Karen. So she goes back to the back area, her office, and that's the end of that. Bye, Karen. So that was the end of Miss Karen and her shenanigans and foolishness. After that, she didn't even want to look at me or say hi or hello to me, which wouldn't have been an issue. Like, you most definitely are more than welcome to say hi and good morning. You're just not welcome to play with me, but cool. And you knew if you were asking something reasonable, you would have asked Tyrone or Mrs. Kwan. You walk specifically over to me because you think I'm the one to play with. I come here, bring my little coffee, wear my little cute office outfits. I go home. Why are you over here bothering me? Karen, please. I'm not the one. All just aside, I tell most of my stories like laughing and looking back and being able to reflect and laugh. But during the time of it happening, the way, there's a level of how much that I get tried where it's almost like if you don't stop, I'm about to start shaking. Because the way Karen just kept like trying to like pick and poke and provoke, it's just like, ugh, like you, don't come up here with all of that. I said no. And it's crazy that you still standing here trying to like pry and pick and poke after I said no. And leave me alone. You know, once that was over, Tyrone, he definitely laughed at it and he was just like, yeah, you know, she should have left you alone. She shouldn't have played with you. But I'm like, yeah, it's nice that you peeped that, but I don't know, it just would have been nicer if he would have like you know, just interceded like, hey, she's not, leave her alone. Like that, you know, that's not her job. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually noticed Karen bullying some of the other nurses. Like, I don't know what that's about. Maybe they just cared more about their jobs than I did at the time. But another grown adult bullying me is just, we're not doing that. No. Bye, Karen. So yeah, from what I can recall, that's my very first interaction dealing with a Karen. That was the end of Miss Karen and her foolishness. I didn't stay at that office for too long. The reason why I still refer to homegirl as a Karen is because she just fit the description in every way possible, and I'm not gonna go into detail. And then like the whole, like the entitlement of it all, the sudden urge to just bother people that are minding their business, the shaky victim crying voice when she couldn't get what she wanted, like just the whole, it was just a Karen. Just in general, I really avoid conflict, and I avoid problems, and I avoid confrontation. But unfortunately, I feel like it's probably like a little sign across my forehead that people see that says the bitch to play with or something like that, because I'm gonna always end up having another story time for y'all. And I just think of so many examples where it's just been people trying me, and then they end up shocked that I set boundaries, or they almost end up trying to be the victim because I set boundaries. Crazy work, but stay tuned for more to come. I hope you enjoyed this story time. If you got any stories of a Karen getting on your nerves or trying you, or just anybody in the workplace just playing with you, I know y'all got stories about that. Go ahead, share them in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this story time. I hope you stay tuned for more videos to come. Wiggles from TikTok Shop, for those of you that are wondering. I'll leave the link in the comments below. Do not ask why I cut my hair off just to get hair that looks exactly like my hair. I don't know. My hair is still cut into a pixie cut. I just like changing my hair a lot, changing identities, because I be bored. I just be doing stuff. That's just what I do sometimes. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and click that subscribe button. Go ahead and subscribe, because I know you will be back. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see y'all in my next video.